All right. It is Wednesday, July 1st. Happy Wednesday. Happy July. This is Music Effect Design and our Stand series. We are your hosts. I'm Jordan Pittner, a visual designer, music educator out of Phoenix, Arizona.
And my name is Mike Kruger. I'm a music educator, composer, and arranger out of Cleveland, Ohio.
And I'm Holly. I am a music educator and a color guard instructor in Phoenix, Arizona.
I had to double check. It was July 1st and not June 31st before we got started today. So that's how we're rolling. Hey, it's another episode of our Stand series where we're just interviewing somebody with different perspective, different just like
experiences.
Yeah, experience. Theo, we're so happy to have you today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
If you'd like, you can share a little bit about who you are and what you do in this activity.
Yeah, my name is Theo Harrison. I currently teach at Brazoswood High School in Clute, Texas. I'm going into my 8th year teaching there as well. I teach dance and color guard full time, and I also hold a degree in music education as well from Boston State University here.
Nice. So you're kind of a unique interview for us, Theo, because you're, I think, the first person that we've interviewed that none of us really know.
Even more fun.
Yeah. So,
yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, we're super happy to have you. He's friend of Rebecca, who's another one of our board members here at Music Effect Design. I would love for you to tell everybody a little bit about how you got into color guard, because I think that's a fascinating story.
In high school, I was always in band, and during my high school career, color guard was not stellar. They tried, and I had a lot of friends. I was on 4 crew, but once I figured out I was good at clarinet, it was never really. I say good, but whatever. Once I figured out that I was better at that, it never crossed my mind to do color guard again, because I was like, I'm going to do music. That's what I'm going to do. So I get to college, of course, and I'm, in the music program, I'm doing orchestra, small ensembles, chamber ensembles, wind ensembles, and was extremely fulfilled. But there was a slight, creative side that I was losing because I wasn't able to express it the way I wanted it to. This was the first time I actually saw our college color guard really be able to come alive on the field and really kind of have a personality and really show individuality throughout their performance. Meanwhile, in my experience, the 7 years I marched my instrument, I'm hiding behind a shako that goes down here and I have to look like everyone else. Right. And so for me, it was kind of like, oh, cool. Maybe I should try that as another avenue of creativity, right? So then I auditioned. I was a backyard Betty. I was a backyard girl. My best friend at the time, I think was fresh off the bus from Bluecoats, I believe, and was going to be captain that year. And he was like, it's not hard. I'll teach you a couple things, blah, blah, blah. And I learned a lot of the basic stuff, and I was able to pick up really quickly. I have a couple of hidden talents. That's one of my mini ones. I was able to pick up very fast. And my first season, I fell in love because I was able to perform and show my creative side and make a connection and not have to look like the person next to me in my face, in my passion. Of course, we want to look the same in our body and our equipment, but I was able to have this much more individuality, and that to me that sold me. So then I did that that fall season, and then that year we started the winter guard. I did that next winter guard, and then the next year I tried for captain, and I got the captain position of the marching band, and I was captain my senior year of college. And then that last year we did another season of winter guard, and I was captain of that as well. And throughout those 2 years of spending with that college, I really figured out this is fun. And it was really fun for me to take the balled up creative side, because I'm playing Brahms, I'm playing Mozart, I'm playing all this stuff. I got to wear the black suit, the white shirt, the cummerbund, I gotta match intonations with the piccolos. I got, it's very much in a box. And color guard was allowed me to get out of that and to do me while still being a part of a team sport, which I found to be extremely fascinating, and also keep my music side as well. So that's kind of how I got into like the swing of color guard and really fell in love with it.
One of the things you had just mentioned, Theo, was about, I think it's so interesting, and I've never really thought about it when you were saying the members of the band, they have that shako and they're kind of like hidden like everyone else, and then the guard, and you said that how much that had a positive effect, like kind of like thinking about guard in that way. You had mentioned earlier when we had just talked before that effect and design is something that's really like important to you. And like when you were talking about the box and like how things are kind of in that box in the classical world and whatnot, do you find that affecting what you do in color guard, like getting out of that box? Do you try to get out of that box more in the guard world?
In the guard world, it's funny, like I'm not a leader in that. There are people who have been doing it for years, and I like that. And every year they have been pushing the envelope on design and what the guard can and can't, or what they can do. There is no can't for color guard, and I love that. What has been the I guess the slower part is getting the band there and getting educators who understand and appreciate the importance of it. Because when I marched, and maybe the same for y'all, when I marched, band played, color guard performed, period.
Yeah, right.
Band didn't dance. Band, you couldn't see that. I mean, now people take their shakos off and they have uniforms, but when I marched, they played and they marched drill, and color guard had to tell the entire story themselves with zero training, with a teacher with zero licenses, like no education. They're required to take people who, by the way, joined in April or May and had to get them studio performance stage ready by September, October, on the same level and caliber that the band kids have been in since their sixth grade, sometimes fifth grade year. So there was this huge discrepancy on like, okay, we have to spin, not hit you, perform, and storytell.
Yeah.
And you just all you have to do is hit your spot and hit the right notes. And even that, if you don't want to play, it's okay because no one's gonna hear you. But in color guard, you can't just stop spinning.
Right.
They're gonna see you. You know what I mean? You can't just not take the toss. They're gonna see you, and they're like, "What you doing?" You know what I mean? So it was when I got into color guard, I was like, "Wow, this is wild." You know what I mean? No one understands that you take people with zero experience, and for me, we auditioned at the end of April, beginning of May, and by October, I have to look like some of the big names in the industry, and no one and think people forget sometimes that most of them knew nothing coming in, and I got to get them looking like my 3-year member that's been here 3 years, and that's hard. And so for band, I've been really like for the past at least few years, I've been really happy to see a lot more high school groups taking off the shakos, doing a lot more movement choreography and dance choreography, and doing a lot more storytelling through their body, and not just through their music, through their staging as well. And it's more of a collaborative visual effort between band and guard versus like, band does music and guard does visual. Now it's like band does music and visual, and guard can just bump up the visual. And now it's a more of a shared effort. So I think that's, as we keep going in that direction, I think it's going to be just more and more fun. I love watching that happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. You and Mike and I are pretty close to the same age, and I think that was kind of the last few years of just march and play. Yeah. It was kind of the end of old school when we were in high school, and it's really done a lot of morphing nationwide since then.
It was very much, at least where I went, and in the area in St. Louis in general, was very much like almost band versus guard, like as in like even the staffs, like the staves. I'm sorry, even the staff members, like they didn't even seem to be on the same page. And I remember always thinking like, this seems weird. Like they don't seem very well. Honestly, they didn't seem very important that was the perspective I got. You know, like they didn't seem as important as the band. You know, which I don't agree with, obviously, but like, but I remember getting that kind of perspective when I was in high school. They felt like we'll figure them out later.
There's a lot to sort of be said about band and color guard relations in different programs, and we could probably spend a whole nother,
Right.
3 or 4
Right.
hours talking about that dynamic.
Absolutely.
What do you think? Because I'm sort of in the same boat as you, Theo, where I've got the music ed degree, I've got, the music experience. I marched in band, then I marched in color guard. And I don't know, how do you think, does that give you a different perspective on the band relationship with the color guard, you think?
Absolutely. It has helped me, because design 101, general effect 101 in my mind is what you hear is what you have to see, right?
Okay.
So if I am hearing this beautiful ballad that is giving me all the feels, I don't want to see a soloist. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I have a lone trumpet on the field, playing, I don't know, the Artunian, I don't want to see a flag ensemble of 40 flag. I don't want to see that. So in color guard or in band and color guard, 101 is what I hear is what I have to see. And so coming from the music background, I can hear the phrase. I can hear, which is funny because now this is how fun this is. I'm able to get a score or even like listen to the music, and I can almost pre-write the drill sets in my head. We'll hold here, we'll move here. This will be a transition. I can do that through a score usually with my school at least because I have it figured out. But I'm able to look at that and see, okay, I can see the phrasing. I can see how this is building up. I can see that, we're adding horns, then trumpets, then we're adding trombones. I'm going to add 10 flags, 20 flags, 30 flags. I'm able to make those connections. I'm also able to do, which is a really hard thing, I'm also able to do syncopation, which is a thing that people who don't have a music background find hard. Like, I don't know, I think that the out count is on this count. They don't understand. I'm like, oh, no, you dip on 6 and, so you can let go on 7 and, so we can catch on the right count. I'm also able to read multimeters, which is a hard thing for people who don't know multimeter, like different meters. Like for guard, it's all 4/4 or maybe 3/4, but 6/8 throws guard people for a loop if they have no idea. You know what I mean?
Right.
How to write that. You know what I mean? And how to because in 4/4 you're going from a 1, 5, 9, 13. Those are your heavy counts in your bars. But in a 3/4, it's different, 1, 4, 7, 9 or 10. And so it's that basic thing sometimes I take for granted, and I think, oh, everyone knows that, but they don't sometimes.
They don't. Yeah.
Definitely a benefit that I have is being able to have studied music and know music and still have the other side. So I'm able to kind of lend my talents to both sides as well, on the visual and musical side.
Cool.
You got my curiosity peaking there. First of all, there were several things you just said that I didn't know fully, so I got to do some study, which is great.
I love that.
But that's a big part. We want to learn a lot too. But the one thing, I have a question. You piqued my curiosity because I think it's so cool what you were saying about you have that great musical training and background that it allows you to because there have been instances like on my end where I've had to sit down with the guard instructor before and really these are the counts. So I have a question for you, and that is because you were mentioning syncopation. And I think that was super cool. Is there a way? How do you show visually a syncopation in the guard? Is there an easy way or is there a way of doing that? I'm so intrigued.
What's funny is I start from the beginning, as I count off. 5 and 6 and 5 and they get that from the get-go, right? So when I get to, and this is way fun when it comes to cleaning, of course, techniques like draw spins, I'm giving you the 1 and the 2, but I'm also going to teach you the and count. So from the beginning, when it comes to technique, you're learning the and counts as well. And when I say syncopation, I mean like, eighth note, like the very basic of it.
Sure.
So
Sure.
that starts from the beginning. And so then I ask questions, I check for the understanding. I'm like, okay, guys, if count 1 for a drop spin is flags down and count 2 is up, where's 1 and? And they know
Right.
that's flat because it's halfway. So they're able to connect it, not musically, because in their mind it's just numbers, but they're able to
Right.
understand that like 1 and is in between 1 and 2. And
Right.
if 2 is up here, 1 is up here, then obviously 1 is in the middle. And then when it gets to cleaning, it's real fun because I'm able to be like, okay, as you move your flag through space, we have to understand the timing of it all. So and counts in that, especially in ballads when it's slow, or if I am wanting to accent certain syncopations in the music that are on the heavy counts, I have to write it that way. And for them, of course, I want it to be like 1, 2, 3, and because that's what the music's doing, and they will naturally want to do either 3 or 4 because it just feels better for them. I have to clean before and after that count so they understand that this is something completely separate. And so again, like starting from the very beginning, like the first anything I teach on equipment flag is an exercise I call space and time, which is all you do is hold your flag and you move through space at different times. So we go from a flat to our head to a right shoulder in 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And moving through the space evenly. Then we do it in 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then in 1, right? And that gets them started of how to manipulate the equipment through space at different times. Then when we get into other techniques like drop spins and poets, we can include the and counts. And to me, since I have a music background, and counts are so important to me. I can clean. I'm such a good cleaner when it comes to that because I can clean down to the one and does if I wanted to, right? So it helps me be like, okay, guys, like you're gonna get here on 1, but 8 and is actually at this corner. So if it helps you to know how to get there on time, you can think 1, 8, and 1, and it helps you get to the right space. But it definitely starts in the very beginning. And if I told in my guard, we have the culture now where they know I'm an and count kind of gal, and you're gonna know them because they're gonna be in choreography all the time. You don't always catch on count 1 sometimes. Maybe you'll catch on 1 and that's okay. And that maybe it's intentional, but they have to know that. And it starts in the very beginning of kind of building that culture for sure.
When you were mentioning space and time, and with your dance background, which I think is so awesome, Laban studies by any chance?
Mm-hmm.
Was that something that you had to study some in dance or
Absolutely. You know what's funny? I had heard of it, but I never really knew what it was until I started to actually study it, and I was like, oh, like the Levant styles of movement, and I was like,
right.
Oh, because by the way, I didn't say this earlier. After I graduated college, I marched in 2016. I marched Cypress Independent, which is a world-class color guard here in Houston. So I marched them, and I remember taking a dance class from one of our dance instructors. She was saying this stuff, and it was just going over my head because I was like, I just need to keep up. I don't understand this. And so, fast forward 4 years later or 3 years later, and I'm, getting my dance certification. I'm reading it. I'm like, oh, she was so freaking smart. And I had no idea I was getting grade A instruction.
Yeah.
Grade A instruction from this lovely lady, and she was giving me all this information, and I was just like, I can't kick that high. But luckily I was able to like reach back and be like, oh my god, like that is like, I was like, it just connected so much to me. So yeah, that when I said that, I definitely took an interest in that because I was like,
right,
I use this. You know what I mean? I use it every day.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't news to you, Theo, but I'm hearing educational concepts like this is extremely like an educational approach to educating your students. And I know, in this activity, across all fields of instruction, I think it's really easy to get caught up in learn the show, learn the show, learn the show, learn the show. But everything you're saying is like, it's an educational principle.
It's also
So
fun for the kids. They like to know why.
yeah,
They like
right.
to know why I
Mhm.
have to do this. They like to know, like, in me, I have a lot of intellectuals. They love physics. They love to understand why we put the bigger bolt at the top of the flag and the small. They like to know
Yeah.
why we have to have quick energy to a toss. They love to know why that. And I take the time to actually tell them this is the science, this is the math, this is the reason behind it. It's not because I want you to do it, it's because it's science and it helps. And this is, of course, y'all all know this famous word in education, differentiating instruction. Some kids love to all they know, yeah. Some kids love to see it. Some kids want to write it down. Some
Right.
kids like you to, you know what I mean? So I like to be able to appeal to those different styles of learners. And so definitely telling them what it is and where it's from and how it got there really helps them like connect it to real life.
It is so fun doing color guard physics.
Love it. I
see,
love it.
Talking physics with them is
And they love it because for them they're like,
so fun.
oh, that's why my toss is going high. Yeah, girl. Yeah, easy.
when you were talking, Theo, and you were saying they're asking why, your students ask why. One of my old mentors had told me that if you can teach your students all you want, but until they start asking, like, hey, how or why are we doing this, and they start actively like wanting to learn, like until that happens, it's hard to like really educate. So like it sounds like, because like if I think about all of us, like, with your experiences on clarinet, right? Like it sounds like you're successful in clarinet, and so I know, right? But it does, and so like, but that doesn't come randomly. That comes from you piquing an interest and wanting to practice and you loving what you do. So like at some point, all of us as teachers, performers, whatever, we start asking those questions. Oh, what's this? Why is that? How's it? And so getting your students to ask that is super cool. And do you? What I'm getting at is does that affect like the detail of what you put in education with your students and the technique? Do you put that kind of detail on the non-technique stuff like leadership and team bonding? Like, do you guys spend a lot of time on those things as well?
Absolutely. Everything one, like if they don't trust me and they don't know what I'm doing, they won't buy into it. So
Right.
I don't ever leave them in the dark on anything I'm doing. I full disclosure, full transparency. This is how education works. And this is how I'm going to educate you to the best of my abilities. You let me know what you need. So when it comes to everything, they know exactly what I'm doing and how I'm going to do it. It's never do it because I said so. That is never the answer for me. And that's a terrible answer when people say that. Or figure it out, FIO. No, tell them how to do it, teach them. So when it comes to, of course, achieving skills or leadership or team bonding, all that stuff, they need to understand. I can't just say, let's play this team bonding activity and not have them understand why it is important. And then also connect it to real life situations. One of the most recent ones was, obviously COVID's happening right now. And before, in Texas, we got this huge second spike right now, but my kids had my socials planned a beach trip for the cast right now. And my head officer messaged me and said, hey, the socials have this plan. I'm not sure if it's a good idea or not because of, the increase in cases. Like, what should I do? And I use it as a teaching tool. Hey, this is what it means to collaborate and to work in a cooperative environment. You as the boss have to be like, hey, I reached out to Theo. He said that this and this and this and this. I think it's a good idea that we postpone this. And just working on basic human skills instead of just doing it myself. I have them learn how to do that, and then they're able to use that in that situation as a leader, and then they can use it at home to their mom, to their dad, to their brother, to their coworker when they get a job, and they're able to use these basic skills. So I never let anything go by, staging, design, while we pick this hairstyle hairstyle, while we do this makeup, while we do anything, nothing goes by in my program without them understanding the exact intent. They will never, you would ask any of them, they're like, hey, why do y'all do this? They could tell you exactly why. Or, well, Theo said that it's important that we, do this and this and this and this because this is the physics of it and blah, blah, blah. They know that, and I include them in that process so they have ownership. So they know, hey, I'm in charge of making sure my flag spins 3 times in the air and I catch it. And this is how I have to do it. There is no serendipitous flag theory that's going to do it for me. I have the knowledge. I have to apply it. And that's what I'm going to be looking for when I'm looking at you. So yeah, I definitely think it's super important that like the kid, and the more the kids trust you, the more you can throw out ridiculous stuff. I thought ridiculous all the time. Hey, I can't do this 45 roll and catch it, but I can teach you how to do it. And they trust me. Because I'm 31, I'm not rolling on it. I'm not doing that anymore. I've done my rolling other stuff. I've done my turning and catching behind my hair. I've done that. I'm not doing it anymore, but I sure can teach you how to do it. So when they trust
you're fearless, you can do it.
Yeah. When they trust you, you're just like you can just give them they just trust your words. They don't have to see it. They love that.
They're probably I would assume that your students, because of that trust and that rapport, they're not afraid to fail.
Absolutely. It's for me, and this is a culture that I've built for my program as an educator. I think one of my biggest strength as an educator is that I have a really good I guess ability to create very strong bonds on a personal level with students. I'm able to get on their their levels and be just as stupid with them, and I'm able to connect with them on just a very silly level, and they understand that outside of color guard, we're walking on the hallway, whatever like that, we can kiki, we can be funny, we can do all the time, and they understand that when it's time for rehearsal, we rehearse. But even in that environment, I still like to have and maintain that level of fun and entertainment. So I'm not a yeller, I'm not a screamer. If I'm not happy with you, I will educate you and say, hey,
yeah,
this is what I'm seeing. I think you think you're trying, and I think you are trying, but on this side, this is what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? And so instead of just saying, hey, you need to do better, I take the opportunity to actually teach them how to do it, because their brains aren't fully developed. We can't expect teenagers to have that wherewithal that most adults don't even have. You know what I mean?
right.
So it's like they have to be trained, they have to be taught how to do that kind of stuff. So I definitely take I don't take the trust they have in me for granted, and it allows me to like say whatever I want to, and they just say, cool, let me know when. Like, hey guys,
Yeah.
I don't know about guard camp. We may have to do things virtually. I'm not sure how it's gonna work out, but like we're gonna do the best we can. And they just say, okay, thank you. And I love that. They don't question. I don't give them a chance to question me, because it's always full disclosure. It's always, you see what you see right now. I'm not hiding anything from you. There are no secrets. I don't have a crystal ball back there somewhere. You're getting it. So that has helped me develop an even stronger bond of trust within the program, especially.
It's great.
I think that keeping it real is one of the biggest things that helps build trust with a group. Like, oh, we're going to change this choreography. And they aren't thinking like, okay, well, why? Because usually I'm like, we're changing it because this part is boring. And also, I think you can do something cooler. And being able to like explain your reasoning to them.
And they love being a part of that process. They love being a part of that process of just sitting down. I've even gone as far as taking 2 class periods in a week, the week of a contest. We had no business doing it, but I printed out the WGI sheets, and we went through them word for word. And I said, when I'm telling you recoveries on the sheets, which color guard directors say all the time, it's right here. You read it? I just, when I say uniformity is on the sheets, when I say we have to have different variety, we all just can't toss the same quad all the time with the variety in equipment. We have to have the blending of equipment and underbody. We have to have it all the time. We have to have dimensionality through weight, space, blah, 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 blah. All that is color word, but they're able to understand and then again take ownership into their own show and say, he said recoveries on the sheets, I read it, I can't look like this for too long. If I dropped, I got to get back in and I got to keep moving because it's my responsibility. So it definitely, and again, like we listen to every time we go to shows, we go back and we listen to the tape, and they listen to their critiques, and they understand, okay, I'm not the only one who said you can't look like that. 3 other people said it too, so I'm not making it up. You know what I mean? And again, it makes them be like, oh, you are smart, and you do know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? So yeah, for sure, absolutely.
That's the best
What?
part of a good tape is like, look, they said all the things I say. You really should do
Love
what
that.
I said.
Love that.
It's one of those things where like, I've experienced this as a clinician somewhere, or if I bring someone in, it's the same thing where you're like, where you've told them to do the exact same thing for like a
Months.
month, and then someone new comes in and they say the same thing, and they're like, "Oh my god!" It's like, and as a director, you're always like, "Oh, come on," you know. But it, you know, from you just talking about your guard, you're making me want to sign up. You know, it sounds like a fun environment.
We have a lot of fun. I do pride myself on, and I've always gotten this compliment before that when my kids go March Drum Corps, WGI, or just in general, or when people watch my shows, they always say, and I've heard this a couple of years, and I didn't understand it for the first couple of years, but now I do. But they say, I can tell that your kids enjoy doing color guard and enjoy doing it with you and the people they're doing it with. And to me, I was like, well, duh. I mean, like, no one's paying all this money and getting all this abuse and getting their fingers in to do this. You know what I mean? Of course they're doing
not
it.
enjoy
But
it, right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah, absolutely. But
Right.
apparently, and I didn't see it, but then once I actually saw like those robot programs where you just tell them what to do and they do it, I was like, oh, I would never want to have that kind of energy or whatnot. And so it definitely is very fun having a program that allows me to have fun, because I have a lot of fun. And I told them maybe before all Corona stuff happened, before our season was canceled, I was like, I want you to know, put in perspective, the school pays me a lot of money to have this much fun. Just understand that. And they understood that. They're like, I get to come to work today, I get to throw stuff in the air, and I get to yell at you, and I get to make y'all feel like losers, and also get medals and trophies along the way. And they pay me a lot of money to do that. And so not everybody, not a lot of money, but you know, to them it's a lot of money. But like, they think that it's so cool that like I enjoy my job, and that I enjoy coming to work and working with them. And again, like they know the process, and they trust the process because they trust me. And so it all kind of works hand in hand, and it definitely helps me in all my facets of the career.
It's so awesome. And yeah, we could talk about this for like, I mean,
Yeah,
I said hours. This is
I'll
what
come back
we
one
do.
day. How about that?
Yeah, seriously, we need that. What
For
would
sure.
you, for you know, educators, not just in guard, but you know, across the art, don't always have a background in education, right? You have a music education background. What would you recommend for people who don't have that kind of training to like to focus on bettering their skills in education?
Step one, don't do what works for you. Like, what worked for you doesn't work for everyone.
Right.
So just because you were held over a fire before you can go to bed at night, and that's how you were trained, does not make it the method of training, right? So I think sometimes people go to DCI and they get their butts kicked by these texts and these caption heads, and they come back and they regurgitate that same information to high school kids, and it's like, no, these are 2 different cognitive levels, 2 different levels of experience. We don't need to bring that energy here.
Right.
So that's step one. How you were taught does not make it the only way that
Best
people can be
way.
taught.
Right.
You have to learn how different learners learn and accept that. And for color guard, for some reason, it's a big ego thing for some reason. So they have to get rid of that and understand, okay, she can't get it by me saying figure it out. I have to let go of that, and I gotta go show her. I gotta go put my hands on her. I gotta go show her videos. I gotta take a picture. I gotta do something else to get them to get there. Because at the end of the day, the goal has nothing to do about the educator. It's all about the education of the student. And people who don't have educational like licenses sometimes do it for their own self. Like, oh yeah, I wrote that 2/16 in there. Meanwhile, it's all on the floor, and it's like, okay, and no one can do it. So, I mean, so I think for people who don't have kind of license, they have to, one, know their audience, know their student, you know, what do they like, what makes them flourish, you know what I mean? Because if they're there, they want to be there, obviously. So learn what they want and learn how they want to learn. And that means you have to do more work. Sorry, you can't just put it on the board and say, this is what we're doing today. Nope, that's easy. No one teaches like that. You got to do it. You got to teach it 5 times for 3 people. And
Yeah.
that is backwards math for the regular person, but that's education. You got to do it for everyone. So if one person doesn't get it, you are unsuccessful. You know what I mean? You have to go back to the drawing board and you got to reevaluate yourself, look in the mirror and say, what am I doing that this kid doesn't get it? That's the general level of it all. So for anyone who doesn't have any like educational background, um, you know, pulling from personal experience is definitely a helpful hint, especially if you came from a program that did really good things and you like the way they did it and you like your director. Pull from that and then build off that.
Yeah.
Especially you're not teaching the same place and the same students that your teacher taught in. So why would you copy that same method, right? The price of tea in China is not the price of tea in America right now. They're 2 different things. So you have to engage them in different ways. And I think in color guard, and it's more fun in color guard because in color guard I think we're able to build that bond a lot quicker because we have to. That allows us to really get in and educate more effectively. Once you get that bond, I think people lose it. You have to keep going and say, okay, I have to teach everyone and not just the top sliver that gets it my way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It always comes down to, for me, it's 2 things. It's either you need to do more to help the students that don't understand the choreography that you made, or you need to rework the choreography you made to be more appropriate for the students, because
And in Texas,
there's
I'm not sure if
always
it is
one
in your
piece that's
state.
messed up.
In Texas, if I have a 30% fail rate, they're not going to question the students. They're going to question my ability to educate.
Right.
Unfortunately, you know. And is it always the truth? No, but at the basic level, yeah, it kind of is. If I have such a dangerous level of failure, what am I doing as an educator that they are not getting it? And that is the mirror that we have to hold up and look and say, it's me, and I have to reevaluate, and not like, oh, well, these kids suck. I'm just gonna, because you know, guard directors sometimes will bounce from program to program to program to program to program because they don't have kids that get it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, no, you have to build that. You have to build that culture. I've only had one teaching job, and it's the one I had, well, after college. I did a little bit in college and whatnot, but after I graduated, this is my only color guard job. Why? Because I want to build it. I want to build my culture. I want to build students that the bouncing around, that sounds exhausting and too much for me. But I love being able to be here and it took me, I mean, I'm going in my 8th year. It took me 6 years to really get it and really get the kids to get me and to get the whole process. And so when people are gone for 1 year, like, oh, they suck, they didn't get it, I'll never have a WGI program. It's like, you're never going to get one if you keep jumping around. So yeah, that's definitely, I'm always, every time I have any negative critique or anything, I always look at the mirror first and say, why are they not achieving that? And what am I not doing to help them? So that's definitely important for me.
You said it took about 6 years, and you've been there for 7 now, right?
Yeah, I just completed my 7th year today, this year.
6 years for folks to buy into what you're fully doing, or whatnot you were saying. How do you not give up during that? Like, what keeps you? You know what I mean? Because is that a hard process? I mean, are there ups and downs in that, or like does the vision drive you? I know it's a little bit of a weird question.
No, it's not weird. It's like, I guess in my mind, there was no option to give up.
Okay.
Because every year it improved so much. And I didn't pick up a disgusting know-nothing trash program, which is sometimes harder. It's harder to sometimes change an already existing program.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And so every year we went into something new, I came in new as well. And I was like, okay, I didn't like how I did that last year. It did not work. The kids hated it. Let's try something new. And so I was evolving each year as well. And my process was evolving each year. So I was able to kind of, and I do it every year still. I have it a little more figured out now, but every year I'm growing. So every year I was not taking model A through the year. I was sometimes hauling it and doing a whole nother process. And that to me kept it interesting. And that to me kept it fun. And then I was able to look at kids and be like, one of the biggest things I got was like, the first 3 years, eligibility was an issue. Always had people failing, people quitting. By my 4th year, 5th year, I had 100% passing rate in the fall and the winter, and I had nobody quit. The next year, I had, I think, one person fail between both seasons. I think the year after that, I had one person fail. When in years past, it was 10 to 12 that would fail every year or
huge.
would quit. And I had to get rid of that. Like, in this program, we don't do that. No, we don't do that. It took me 4 years to get there, but I got there, and I got kids who want it so bad that they're not going to allow their grades to slip. And that to me, as I saw it go from 12 to 8 to 5 to 0 to 1 to 0 to 1, that's improvement. And that's what kept me going and kept making it fun for me to build the process and not give up, because I saw it improve and I saw like the fire, like they also want to be so good. And I saw that year to year, so that helped me keep going for sure.
One thing I've had with my groups and with my personal group, and I imagine you might as well, is I have a largely diverse amount of students with different backgrounds, and a lot of which I can't always relate to. And so as an educator, I know that can be, you want to find a way to be able to connect to every single student. And that's part of the culture that you build, right? And it sounds like that's something you built. Do you have any thoughts on that kind of in general?
You know what's funny is maybe like months ago, maybe in like February, I read an article, and it was titled like why your first Black teacher was probably one of your most inspirational teachers, and why students love like it specifically said Black male teachers, and then of course they talked about the culture itself. And it's on the most basic level, it's because it basically just said that we were able to connect with the students a little bit more, especially if you teach in a more urban, lower economical school system, which I teach at a Title I school, right? And so I'm not getting any breadwinners in this program, and so I'm able to see them, and with my own personal experience. I mean, I grew up poor. I was on free and reduced lunch. I rode the bus until I couldn't ride the bus anymore. I didn't go on expensive trips. I didn't go to Disney when we go every 4 years. I didn't do any of that stuff because I couldn't afford it. So I live the same life they live, and so I'm able to pull from my own personal experience growing up as a student in the educational system, and I wasn't taken seriously, and then even through my college career when I wasn't taken seriously, to form an educational philosophy teaching style that respects and allows everyone to have their own space and to be safe in their own space. So it has helped me a lot going through my experience and knowing basically that I don't like that. I don't like being told, girls, put your hair in a bun, boys, be dapper. And I'm like, I can't do that. And then you post pictures of Ryan Gosling and Brad Pitt at award shows and say, look like this. I don't look like them. You know what I mean? I don't know. I have curly hair. It's this long. I don't look like them. So I can't do the swoop to the side look. And no one ever in my, educational life growing up was ever able to tell me how to make it work, basically. They just say, you have to figure it out, right? Or they say, you figure it out. It's, you've got to, we trust you, right? But no one really took an interest in like why my hair is different, why my skin is different, why companies still don't sell, mocha colored tights, you know what I mean? Why they don't sell, why Black people have to buy new jazz shoes and then spray paint them brown in dance studios so they match. You know what I mean? Why even to this day, I think McCormick's is different, but why there's only 2 colors of gloves, black and tan. Well, they changed it from nude to tan, and people I've heard in drum corps having to literally get foundation to color their gloves so it matches, right? Like
Wow.
that's like the stuff that people don't think about. And it's like, how come how come we don't have 4 different shapes of gloves at this point? How come we don't have 4 different shapes of tights?
Right.
Why is it just now that people are like, oh, we should figure that out? Like, you know what I mean? But growing
Mhm.
up, it was very much FIO, figure it out on your own. And so since I have to go through that, I definitely made sure that, every different girl and guy I got in my program, I took a special interest in, especially if they were different than me. I've had I have maybe like an 80% Hispanic background, um, and a couple black girls, couple white girls here and there, but it's pretty much Hispanic for the most part. Every black girl I get, they know that I know that I'm going to give them the best um, education when it comes to knowing how they work. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I know where to find the mocha tights. I know how to do your hair. We got the same hair. You know what I mean? I know how to help you, and they trust me on that. And so, I always tell people the 3 B's of color guard, um, and it's take care of your big girls. Not everybody can wear
The
the
skinny
little skimpy
unitard.
whatever that they may rip it. You know what I mean? Take care of them. Put them in something that they feel good in. Put them in something and not make them feel different. But if you're looking at a uniform and you have bigger girls, pay attention to that and make sure that they are comfortable. Your other B, your black girls, don't put them in a white face, powder wig show because you're doing this Renaissance show. That's gonna be ugly on them. You know what I mean? Don't say, hey, I'm buying you this stock new lipstick. You have one black girl and on her it looks like it's white chalk. You know what I mean? Don't say I want your hair in a bun and you figure it out. No, learn what it takes to take care of them. Put them in things that make sense. Yeah, get the tights that make sense. Get the shoes that make sense, and take an interest in their hair and their skin and learn how to help them instead of just saying you help yourself. When you say to a black girl, "Hey, I want the hair to be half up, half down this year. I know you have the capability of doing whatever you want to your hair, braids, extensions, weave, sew-ins, lace frontals. What's best for you?" And they'll tell you, "Oh, I can probably get braids, and I can do a half up, head down look with my braids." Perfect. That is step one.
Huh.
That is the easy step to, instead of saying, everyone put their hair in the bun and you can figure it out on your own. You know what I
Right.
mean? They now feel accepted and they now feel like you care.
Mhm.
And I didn't have that growing up. And the other B, this is a girl one, is your busty girls. Yes? You can't put them in the spaghetti strap on the
Mm-mm.
field. They may break it. You know what I mean? You can't put them, and I have girls who have been, a large up top and a small on bottom just because of how they were shaped. I can't wear the keyhole uniform. It won't look good on them. And I never want to do any of those 3 things, big girls, black girls, busty girls, and put them and make them do anything that makes them feel uncomfortable. And so for me, I had a girl who recently had a breast reduction. I asked her, "Hey, I'm gonna put you in an extra large." She was really a medium, but just so her uniform fit, I'm gonna put you in extra large, and we're gonna take you in, okay? So you're not gonna be out there looking like a big old blanket. We're gonna make this good. I got parents. They got her measurements. We got her pinned in that bad boy, and she looked amazing. But she was comfortable. Same my black girls. I say, hey, black girls, this is the hairstyle. I recommend you get braids, or I recommend you do this, or if it's whatever I want, you can do whatever you want to. But this is what I would do. Let me know. And on show days, um, I'm not above breaking out my bobby pins and my brush and helping the black girls do their hair. I'm not above that. You know what I mean? I'm not above doing it for any of my girls or my guys on my team. I am not above, getting a bobby pin and hooking you up. And there were some girls, and they took note of it a couple years ago that like it was special attention from me that they wanted to get their hair done by me, even though I had 4 moms doing hair. But of course, I said, I'll help you. I get all the black girls come to my line, but then everyone else kind of wants that attention, so they will come to my line too. And like I could do your hair, but they don't understand that I'm here to help. I was here to help them because I know how their hair works. So, and then same for, again, for big girls, in my mind, big girls can wear anything that they feel comfortable in. So if they feel comfortable in this, great, rock it, wear it, I don't care. But if they say to you, I don't feel comfortable showing my midriff, and you want to pick a midriff costume, get rid of it. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. You know what I mean? So if you take care of those three things, especially, and growing up, I didn't have that. Even when I marched in 16, they said, do a dapper look. And I was like, and they posted pictures of white actors. And I was like,
Right.
okay, you know, my hair is still seen as uh, unprofessional at the time. You know what I mean? 2016, like dreads were unprofessional, braids are unprofessional, afros are unprofessional, you know? So I was like, how do I look professional next to everyone else? And I'm the only black one on the team, a black guy on the team. There's no black on the team. How do I look like myself? And no one took an interest. And I had to figure it out myself. And even when I did figure it out, no one said, hey, that's good, that'll work. They just kind of ignored it. So it's definitely just into my own experience, working through like the adversity through the lack of diversity
Yeah.
has helped me. Even in high school, like I was maybe one of 3 black people in a 400-piece band. You know, all kinds of like microaggressive, like racist comments,
Yeah.
which, you know, you just learn to deal with and whatnot, and like, you know, have an effect over time. But being good and being taken seriously is a different thing. Because besides me, who was in top band, all the other black kids, the 2 or 3 were the ones in bottom band. So coming into the program, they already thought another kid that's either going to quit or to stay in the 4th band, which, you know, lo and behold, I make All-State. You know what I mean? And I make All-State in Texas my junior year, and I'm the first black person at our school to make it. And they're just like, then the lights clicked on for them. They said, okay, let's figure it out. Let's push him into this career. But it wasn't until I had to, because as a black person, you have to work, and as a woman, even more so, 5 trillion times harder than the person next to you just to be seen. And so I wasn't seen until I made state. They had no choice. So then I'm in the top band. Then I'm first year. Then I'm section leader. Then I'm getting people asking me to audition at their schools for, you know, to be in their programs for college. Then I was taken seriously. And when I got to school, when I got to college, I had to start over again. Basically figure out, okay, I'm in top band. There are 4 black people in top band. They were all seniors too. And they, funny story, being in top band at the college, and I played clarinet. Every time the clarinets were getting in trouble for not knowing their music or whatnot, I would get a text from the 2 tubas who were black, and they would always say things like, you better not be ruining this for the culture. And they would say funny things like that, like, please don't send us back 600 years. You know what I mean? Scared that I was the one bringing down black people being not dominant, but being strong members in this top ensemble.
Right.
They weren't looking at us like that. So there were 4 of us. There were 2 clarinet players, and there were 2 tuba players. And they were all, besides me, freshmen in top band, by the way, one of like 4, and 3 other seniors, you know what I mean? And they more or less took me under the wing and said, look, black people don't suck at this program. So if you're going to be black and you're going to be the wind ensemble, we are good here. And I was like, okay, I respect that. But it turned into a funny joke to where they would always be like, if he ever, like, I never forget, our director believed in going down the line. I forgot we were playing something, and we had to do this technical phrase down the line, one by one. And he was like, bad or good. And it got to me, and I was good. And I got a text from them, same room, by the way, you know, because kids do that. And they say, good job, thanks for not sending us back to slavery times. But
Classic tuba player right there.
Classic tuba players, both of them, by the way.
Yeah.
But we supported each other, and we both knew unspokenly that I see you, you see me, and we are in this together. And if no one else sees you, know that I see you. And we had to stay strong. You will not think of me as that weak one. I will not be that person. And that helped me through high school. It really helped me through college, because I went to we'll save that conversation later. But I had to really do it in college. And so then when I graduated and I was able to teach students, I was like, I know exactly what not to do to make kids feel like they aren't wanted. I had a completely deaf girl in color guard for 4 years. Um, guess what I had to do? I had to figure it out. I learned ASL. I learned, and she had an interpreter, who really nice lady. I think Flo Martin did an article on us a couple of years ago, actually, with her.
Cool.
There's an interview. I'm not in the interview, but my student is in the interview, and they were basically talking about how she navigates through color guard. How can she spin and be completely deaf? And for me, teaching her, it was no big deal. I do it every day. You know, I knew how to sign numbers. I knew how to say again. I knew how to say some of the basic things to communicate with her. And so for me, it was so easy. But when people saw her, they were like, oh, how did she do it? And I'm like, she's deaf. She's not stupid. So she can do it. Like, it's not hard. And I didn't treat her any differently. If she got yelled at, she got yelled at. And no one, like, people always feel bad for her. I'm like, she's not an invalid. She is a teenage girl. She has the same issues y'all have. She just can't hear me. So she understood what I said when I said, you've been late 3 times in a row. I need you to count 4 on time. And so same with her. I had to learn how to teach her. I had to learn how to communicate with her. I had to learn how to give her a grade A primetime instruction with no experience in it. And I took that, and for me, it was fun. And for her, she loved, this is probably the best, she loved that I took an interest in her language. She loved, because she didn't speak, she wasn't verbal. And when I first met her, she spoke to me a little bit so I could kind of try to understand her sign and her speak as well. But she was more or less nonverbal. By the time she was a senior, we were able to communicate through word and through sign. And she loved having ownership of teaching me the sign and being like, you said the wrong word. You know, I would say, go get water, right? This is Wednesday. And she would come up to me and be like, that's Wednesday. This is water. You need more practice. And I'd be like, oh. And so she loved and appreciated that I took a special interest into her world. I went to her world and I figured out how she worked and how she learned and how she communicated, and she flourished. And that is how it is for your 504 kids, special kids. If you have inclusive programs, that's for them. Black kids, disabled kids, anyone you have in your program that's like that, you have to get into their world and understand and teach yourself. Open your eyes, learn it, and say, okay, I know black hair. I learned it. I can now help you. Oh, I learned the difference, the difference of it all. I'm here to help you. And even asking the question, hey, I don't know how to help you. Can you help me? That is step 1. And that is so helpful in education for us as educators. We do it all the time for professional development that we all love. We go to professional development for hours and hours and hours a year. However, sometimes we don't even learn the basic things on like people in our program. You know what I mean? So it's very important to me. And I make a huge point to when I see Black performers that I let them know that they know that I see them. I've gone so far as to, I've had students march drum corps, and I met them at shows and I brought them care packages, and I will bring an extra one and I will give it to one random guard, one Black guard kid. Don't even know him, but I want them to know, I see you out there. I see you. I saw you with that solo. I saw you and I watched you and I'm cheering for you. And they don't even know who I am. And it's just unspoken. And I'm able to do that, but from people who are not me, it's just learning, asking questions, not being scared to be uncomfortable, saying, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help you. How can I help you? Or how can I make you feel better? You know, especially if you have, you know, a huge diverse or even a lack of diversity in your program, it's even more important that you take that special interest in that individual student, no matter who they are, learn how they operate, and give them the grade A instruction that they can use to flourish through your program. So that was, sorry,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, like,
No,
really passionate about that.
No, that's incredible. I learned a lot in there. I've got in my notes here, just in all caps, what works best for you. I love that phrase so much, because it's just good management. Like you basically said, hey, here's the direction I want to take it. What works best for you under that under those ideas, like with the hair, but really with anything. And I'm sure that permeates more of your program than just costuming. I'm sure it's kind of everything you do, and that's awesome.
And definitely for me, that's how I kind of navigated through it. I've had my own personal experiences, and I remember thinking like, you learn in the time to just, you have to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I'm in charge, I'm not going to make them figure it out.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm going to figure it out. It's my job. I'm the educator, right? Or I'm going to learn how to figure it out, and then I'm going to help you figure it out. So I never want to put anyone in a situation where I'm like, she's deaf, she can't hear me, you need to figure out how you're going to get the information. Never, never, never. Your hair is short, I don't know what you're going to, never, 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 never. It's us, our jobs as educators to just to open our ears, open our brains, learn it, get into that world so we can help that person. That's super important to me.
Absolutely. Hey, Theo, thank you so much. This has been so cool. I feel like,
Yeah.
Of course.
One of
one
the fastest hours of my life.
Seriously. I mean, that
I learned
Really?
so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. Outstanding.
Well, I'm definitely free. I mean, it's summertime, so I'm not doing anything. So if y'all want to talk again about more stuff, I am more than happy to come in and chit chat.
We'll take you up on that for sure. We got a lot of things coming down the line. Definitely more to talk about. Yeah. For those of you who've been watching, thank you. Hopefully you've gotten, if you've been watching, you've gotten a lot out of this too. I know. So thanks for being here. Remember to, come check out all the events we have. We've been talking about them all week, but the MED month, the leadership curriculum, just come check out everything that we've got going on at musiceffectdesign.com. If you're interested in talking with us, having one of these conversations, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at info@musiceffectdesign.com. And until next time, we've got Friday off actually, but until next time, we'll see you then.